significant shift in opinion against Brexit is revealed in an exclusive poll for the Mirror tonight. The ComRes survey shows that if there were a second referendum, 55% would vote to remain in the EU and 45% to leave. This would overturn the June 2016 referendum result, which saw the country vote by 52% to 48% in favour of Brexit. The poll of 1,049 people was conducted today in the wake of Nigel Farage's suggestion that there could be a second referendum. 5 things we've learned from a new Mirror poll on a second EU referendum. It directly contradicts Mr Farage's claim that the Leave vote would be very much higher the second time round. ComRes for the Mirror, January 11. ComRes for the Mirror, January 11. The poll also found there was lukewarm support for the former UKIP leader's stance, with 43% in favour of a rerun and 51% opposed. But the survey is likely to be seized on by Remain supporters as evidence of a growing sense of buyer's remorse over the decision to leave the EU. Among those who backed Brexit in today's poll, 95% are opposed to a second referendum, while 77% of Remain voters are in favour of one. It also reveals that Theresa May faces an uphill battle convincing voters she can negotiate a good deal for the UK. 2/3 of people, 65%, are not confident the Prime Minister can secure a good Brexit deal, with only 30% very or fairly confident. Theresa May insists she's not seeking a second vote. Image, Getty. The survey also reveals how Brexit has divided the country by age and political party. Among Labour voters, 64% are in favour of a second referendum with 31% against. By contrast, only 18% of Tory voters want a second poll, with 79% against. And if the contest was rerun, 75% of Labour voters would back Remain, with only 25% for Leave. Among Conservative voters, 30% would vote Remain and 70% Leave. Young voters aged 18 to 24 are not only in favour of second poll, 54% to 37%, but would vote overwhelmingly to Remain by 77% to 23%. By contrast, among those aged 65 plus, 67% would vote to Leave and only 33% Remain. The Prime Minister's negotiating skills with the EU's Jean-Claude Juncker rated badly. Image, AFP. Almost half of voters said they would like to have another go at the original question from 2016. Image, Getty. Older voters are most opposed to a second referendum by 68% to 28%. Ex-UKIP leader Nigel Farage made the shock call for a second vote this morning, announcing, "My mind is actually changing on this. Just maybe I'm reaching the point of thinking that we should have a second referendum on EU membership." He said a second vote would kill it off for a generation, claiming the percentage that would vote to leave next time would be very much bigger than it was last time round. He was hailed by Remain backers, with Labour MP Chuka Umunna declaring, "For perhaps the first time in his life, Nigel Farage is making a valid point," but the announcement sparked a UKIP civil war, with current leader Henry Bolton declaring a second referendum would be damaging to the nation. And former aide Raheem Kassem said, "We had a referendum." After a row, Mr Farage backtracked tonight, saying, "To be clear, I do not want a second referendum, but I fear one may be forced upon the country by Parliament. That is how deep my distrust is for career politicians." By the time of his U-turn, he had already been backed by millionaire donor Ally Aaron Banks, despite Mr Banks declaring a second referendum nuts and a stunt by people who don't think we can win in January 2016. Prime Minister Theresa May's spokesman said, "We will not be having a second referendum."